welcome to Somewhere on the Spectrum. First of all, let me start with a little announcement just to say I am going to take January off. I have a lot of reading that I want to do. I might tell you about it when I get back. And then I'll be back in February and we'll start again. So feel free to leave any comments if there's any particular topics or things you'd like me to focus on in the new year. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about reviewing for the year. And I think this is really important to just sit down and spend some time figuring out what's worked, what hasn't worked, things that you want to improve. And it sort of makes sense to do it at the end of the year or the beginning of the next year. It's just kind of a nice rounded time to do it. I think I gave you a link to Mel Robbins to figure out about reviews. There's lots of different people who do end of year reviews. I think it's a good idea to go and Google some stuff and see if anyone has any other ideas. But it's also helpful to think for yourself. The reason I started with the Mel Robbins one is really just to get me thinking about, what do you want to review? It's very easy to think, well, I haven't accomplished anything, or think there's no point in this, there's no worthwhile value of it. And I think one of the challenges for us that many of us need to recognize is because of time blindness, and also because of the negativity that often comes with having autism without a diagnosis, that it can be really difficult for us to recognize the good things. It can be very difficult for us to recognize when things have gone right, when we've done well, when we have achieved something, got a new skill, when we've spent time improving ourselves. We can instead focus on the negative, all the stuff we didn't do, all the things that didn't go well, the exams we didn't pass. And while that can be useful and perhaps motivation, I think long term, it's just exhausting. And it really stops you from having a positive thought about yourself. And I don't think that's how we should go forward. I don't think that's good for any of us. And I don't think it's good for the planet. I think it's important that we feel that we are valuable and that we have something to add. So there's a long way around of saying, do a review. So review your life. And I would just go small for now, as in look at the year. Maybe at some point later you want to start reaching further back, as I have done. But I think for now, just focus on 2024 and think about what worked, what didn't work. What would you like to get better at? What would you just don't really care anymore about? Throw it away. And don't feel bad about throwing stuff away, because for us, we need to have the space to be able to focus on the things we want to focus on or we need to focus on. And if that space is being taken up by stuff that we don't want or isn't bringing us anything good, then it can really impede our ability to move forward. So working out what's good and what you like and what's bad and what you don't like is a really good first step to figuring out which bits you want to keep and which bits you don't want to keep. And this is, I think, important when we've built our life with masking, and the mask is not really us. It's a version of us, but it's not the complete us. Then it means that part of that mask may be stuff that you don't actually like. For me, part of my younger mask was when I was a teenager, people would ask, what color do you like? And I would always say red, because all my friends said red. And I thought red was quite a good color. I don't like red. It's very bright. These are pink curtains, not red curtains, and they're my grandma's. That's another story. So now red is it seems really loud to me now. And I didn't realize, I had no idea. So think about, there might be things that actually are not really you in your mask. And it's okay to get rid of those or reduce them or do less of them. I did promise you last week to show you how I review and plan and things like that. This is my Clever Fox diary. You don't have to get one. I'm not going to sell you one. This is a kind of a journal. 2024 is the first year that I used this. I started using it after Yosemite Sam mentioned it, and I went and looked at them and I really like them. I would like it if you guys have a different system. I would like it if you let me know in the comments so that we can share for everybody to know that there are different systems and different ways. Some people track their lives on social media. Some people track their lives through apps or through notes on their phones. Some people have like a Google Calendar. Some people have a Notion and everything goes in there. So let me know in the comments what you're doing to track, if you track anything. For me, I used to have a system of checklists, basically. I would make at the beginning of the week or whenever I kind of got to the end of one, a to-do list, tick them off, and there would be some things that would stay on the to-do list forever, and just every time I ticked off most of them, they would go on to the next one, and then I would start a new list. But the problem was I always threw the list away. So I had no evidence of all of the things that I'd done, and that's where this comes in. So for me, each one of the weeks in here, you can put the date, so you don't have to worry if you're not good at keeping diaries, you're not missing anything. You can leave this for a couple months and come back to it later. And it's the same for the months. They give you stickers. This comes with stickers. They give you stickers, so you can put the month in there. So if you don't want to do it for a couple months, you give up for a couple months, you can always come back. So your diary might go January, February, August, but that's okay. You can come back to it. And that was, for me, that was quite important because I'm not good at keeping diaries over time. So this is the month layout. You can put whatever you want in, and then each week you've got a different layout. You can go online, Amazon and the Clever Fox website have their own specific, you can see the pages online. So I'll let you go and nosy around online to see what they have on the pages. But for me, some key points are for your week. There's a notes section, so you can make notes of how your week's been, things you've had trouble with, problems, struggles, or things that have been going really well. There's a to-do list and also a habits list. So my habits are really simple things like washing the dishes, taking vitamins, exercise, reading. And I also track stuff. I track my energy levels with a red, orange, green system, and I track the weather because those things are often very connected for me. There's also this week's wins, so things that went well, and I put a gratitude bit here, which is that's not for gratitude. I put that sticker there, and that's really helpful for me to look back at something that went right in the week. And I do the same thing with the months now. I'm using this month's wins and putting something positive, which I wasn't in the beginning. How I'll improve next month, not using that. So that's the other thing that I want to tell you. You don't have to use everything. You don't have to do all of the things that everybody else is doing. You can take the bits that work for you. And this applies to everything in life, right? You take the bits that work for you and you chuck out the rest. So for me, I feel super guilty that this has a vision board. Sounds great. It's got my gratitude, my daily rituals. Do I have rituals? My goals. Hate goals. My mind map. The important dates is useful. That is very, very helpful. But I have to say, like, I'm at the end of this now, and I have never filled in the vision board or the mind map or most of the goals because I hate goals. I hate them, and I never achieve them, and it's just more depressing when I don't achieve them. It also has blank pages at the back, which you could use just as a general journal. I've used it to start tracking things like cleaning, cutting back in the garden. Also, I track the time of the month. And I also track my favorite page is this one. So where I'm tracking like the nature coming and going. So you can do whatever you like in the back pages. It's really fun. Anyway, for me, that's really helped me. Even though I don't look back at this, I'm not like looking over it on a regular basis, but it just helps me feel like I have done stuff. Things have been achieved this week. And that's really important for me to feel like I'm actually doing stuff. So that is the tracking part. When it comes to the planning part, then you're taking everything into account that you have learned about yourself in 2024. And then you're looking forward into 2025 and saying, okay, what do we do with that? What are we going to do with that? It might be that there's some things that you're just going to abandon. So for example, if you decided to learn something or start a new hobby, and with your review, you realize like you really hate it, or it's not going well, or it's too expensive, things like that, then you might decide, okay, I'm going to come back to it in 2026, or I'm going to take a 6-month break. That's okay. You can do that. You're allowed. That's one of the things I like about tracking in this way, because it means that you realize that you can come back to it. For me, that's my Chinese. I want to learn Chinese. I suck at learning languages. But by doing it this way, I can see, yeah, I quit for 3 months and then I came back. And I stopped for 2 months and then I came back. And that evidence that you will come back, that evidence that you can trust yourself to get back to it, is really, really important, I think, for us. So moving forward then, if you're somebody that likes goals, fine, make goals. Go for it. I'm not saying you can't do that. Everybody's different, right? You pick what works for you. So if you're someone that can make goals, then figure out what are going to be your key goals. Just make sure it's not too many. You don't want to have 100 goals for 2025. That's not doing anybody any good. I would say 5. Go from 100 to 5. That doesn't sound like much. I'm talking about big things, right? Your big thing might be as simple, like for me, it is like wash the dishes. That's something I'm going to try and do on a regular basis. And it's not I'm going to wash the dishes every day, but I'm going to try and do it as often as I can. And then I track it. And for me, like exercise, there's no point in me making a plan that is like, I will exercise every day, because I know I'm not going to do it. So instead, it's like, I will exercise as often as I can, as regularly as I can. And then I track it when I go. And that's the evidence that I do keep coming back to it, even though I can't always maintain it over time. So it might be something like that you're just regularly doing. Or it might be some big task that you want to accomplish. So for me, 2024, the big task was pensions. I had ignored my pensions for my entire life, and definitely the last 5 years. They'd just been sitting there, not doing anything, and I was terrified to even start. It was such a massive subject that I couldn't even start. So my plan for 2024 was do something, anything with the pensions. And I started in September. So it took me a while to get going. And you might find that there's a reason for that. For me, I needed an app. There was a particular app that helped me move my pensions all into the same place. And I think it would have been much harder for me to do if I didn't have that app. But giving myself a year to do it meant that I was able to notice, oh, that's about pensions. Maybe I should read that. Oh, that's some more information about a particular thing. Maybe I should read that. So I was paying more attention to it as I went through the year, and eventually got to the point where I was ready and I felt like, okay, now I know enough to move forward and do the next step. So at the end of the year now, I can say, job ticked, I've done that, which is actually quite surprising for me. I did not think I would accomplish that goal. So it could be something like that is a task you've been meaning to get done. Think about, are there big or small things that would be really great for you to do? Whether it's the Clever Fox Diary or doing the Mel Robbins thing or some other kind of thing, prepare yourself. That's the next step. Make it easy for yourself to achieve those goals and to track those goals, so that next year you can do your review and you'll actually have some evidence of the things that you did do, the things that you did manage. And it's worth taking the time to go through that process, so that each year you're building on what you did the previous year. And that then starts to make you feel like, I am trustworthy. I can do things. I can learn things. I can move forward. And I think that's really important. If you've been undiagnosed to this point, you didn't know you were autistic, there was a lot of stuff you were dealing with and you didn't even know you were dealing with it. So now you're at the point that you have a better understanding and you're starting to learn more about autism and you're starting to learn more about yourself. Now we can start moving forward and thinking about, okay, what do we do with this information? How are we going to move forward? It's not very easy. Just so you know, this is not easy stuff. You know, I have done reviews for quite a few years, but very haphazard and not really any sort of organized system until very recently. And I've never tracked anything because I always felt like I couldn't trust myself. There was no point tracking myself because it was just going to be tiring and overwhelming and disappointing. So this is the first year that I've tracked, and I needed this journal to do it. even though it's expensive. I tried with the bullet journal idea, and I took some of the bullet journal ideas, as I said last time, and put them into this. But this is so well organized already. This has such a layout already. And yes, you do have to add numbers and write things in each week. But for me, it's a manageable amount that I need to write in each week. Whereas doing the bullet journal, it was too many things that I was having to do. Whatever works for you. And you might find that you try something this year, and again, you learn from it and you figure out that's not for you, or part of that's for you. And then next year you can try something different, or even halfway through the year, you can try something different. We're talking about slow evolution. That's where we're heading with this. Anyway, I hope that's useful, and I will see you in February. Happy New Year. Bye.